time and one more story about clearing the past. After yesterday's video, I got a few emails asking me to say a few more stories of clients and past life clearings because it helped them understand a few things. The funny thing is, I probably have hundreds of these stories, but right now I cannot think of a single one. And I think it is because I am trying to think. You see, channeling is funny. It will come when it wants to come. The information, I mean, or the energy that wants to say something. When I try and do it purposely, I feel blocked. So the only thing I can do is give you one of my personal stories about clearing a past life. I will have to start from the beginning though, so that the story can make sense. In the late 60s, there was a song, the Marrakesh Express, something about catching a train to Marrakesh. That word, Marrakesh, did something to me. It activated something in me, and of course I was still a child. I had no idea what it was. I went to the map to find Marrakesh. We did not have Google back then. It took me a while to find it because I had no idea where to look. And since then, whenever I would read or hear the word Marrakesh, it always did something to me. Then, 40 years later, I was living in Switzerland and winter was coming, and I did not want to spend winter in Switzerland. So I went to an English bookstore that they have in the center of Zurich, and I went to the travel section to see if I could come up of a nice place to spend the winter in. Now you might say, this sounds quite glamorous. Well, because I worked on the phone, I could live anywhere, providing the place was quite cheap, of course. So it's not as glamorous as it sounds. And the book that stuck out, the guidebook, was about Marrakesh. And I said to myself, okay, this time I'm going to do it. I took the guidebook and I booked a ticket for Marrakesh. I went there. I knew I had been there before. I could just feel it. I was walking the Kasbah as if I knew it. The first day, everything was okay. The second day, I started getting sick. I forgot to mention, I had a client, even though she was European, she had lived in Marrakesh for a while, and she told me which hotel to book. And the hotel happened to be right on the square. They have this ancient square there. Now, the second day, I got sick. At the beginning, I thought it was food poisoning, but it wasn't. I didn't have any of the symptoms of food poisoning, but I did have this burning feeling in my stomach, this burning pain. I was sick for quite a few days, and it had reached a point to where the fever had become so high, I thought, this is it, I'm going to die, or I'm going to have something's going to happen to my brain now because of the fever. So I get out of bed, I unlock the door to the room so the cleaner can find my body. I take out my passport, I leave it on the other bed that was next to me. I was in the room alone, no one else was in there. And I write a note with my sister's phone number on it so that they can call someone for the body. And I lie down and I say, okay, I'm ready, come and get me. As I closed my eyes, I felt the bed moving, but not in a way that it moves during an earthquake. It was a different kind of moving. I opened my eyes. Nothing was really moving. I close my eyes again. Again, it starts to move from side to side. This time I said, I'm not going to open my eyes. I will go with it. Well, I left the body completely. I died. I came out of my body, out of the room, out of the hotel, and I could see the square next to the hotel. In the middle of the square was a cart, much like the one we are seeing in this picture, with one horse pulling it. And somebody was not on the cart, but next to the horse, guiding the horse. The cart was full of dead bodies. And on the cart was my body as well. However, it wasn't my current body. It was not Eric, but it was me. And that's when I realized it was a previous life. And I was either shot in the stomach or there was some sort of disease going on. I could not tell the difference. I could not see exactly what it was. I was not fully dead, meaning me in the previous life. I was a man in that life as well. I was not fully dead. And I could not open my eyes or my mouth to say something, to say I'm not dead, because they were taking me for burial along with the rest of the dead bodies. So I'm assuming that they buried me alive. So, as Eric's part of the soul that came out, I was getting a message to go and take him out of the body, to make sure he dies before he gets buried alive. So I go on top of him and I say, take my arm, I will pull you out. And I hear in my mind, no, I don't want to die. And then I said, look, I'm dead too. Look over there, my body is over there. And it's as if I knew he could see through the walls and he saw my body in the bed. And that's when he trusted that there is life after death. He was terrified of death because he simply thought that death is the end, that there is no life after death. And this is why he was holding on and he was not dying. At that moment, he trusted. So he gives me his hand, but it's funny, it wasn't his physical hand. It was as if it was the soul's hand. It's kind of funny because in reality things are multidimensional. We cannot always explain them in three-dimensional words. So I grab his arm, his hand, and pull him out of the body, so that this way he will not be buried alive. Because this caused a lot of trauma in my lives after that. And even in this life, I was suffering from claustrophobia. And it must have been from that life where I was buried alive. Because after this incident, I no longer had this claustrophobic fear, or this fear of claustrophobia. Now, I take him out of the body, and at that moment, it was as if many different energies come. They kind of pushed me out of the way and took him over, and they were wrapping him with something that looked like blankets. Of course, everything was energetic, so I'm assuming they were blankets, but they could have been something else. And they were wrapping him as if they were going to give him a healing, and then they took him away. I don't know where they took him, but I'm assuming for some sort of healing. Then I see an image of my higher self taking a physical form. No, not exactly a physical form, a humanoid form, but it was still energy, ordering me to go back into the body. And I look at the body, I could feel the fever that the body had, how it was just burning up. And I say to my higher self, no way. After this fever, this body will be paralyzed. I am not going back into that body. I hear the snap of the fingers. And again, an order to get back in there now. So I listened. I got back into the body. I leaned over. I threw up. It was a funny kind of throwing up. It wasn't food. I don't know what the hell it was. But it was dark. And I started feeling better right away, and the fever started going down dramatically. I was very weak. I slowly got up, took a shower because I was sweaty, laid back in bed, and I was trying to regain my strength. I closed my eyes, I called my higher self, and I said, why did I have to die to get him out of his body? Because I had done past life clearings before, I knew that I could just astral travel and do it with my astral body. I did not necessarily have to die. And the answer was, he would not have trusted you otherwise. He was so afraid of death that he trusted you only because he saw that you were also dead. And this is what made him trust that there is life after death, and he could let go and come out of the body. He simply would not let go. He was focusing all his energy on holding on to life. This is why he could not open his eyes and why he could not speak, to tell people that he was not dead yet. And this is why you had to die as well. So this is one more story of clearing the past. And I'm assuming the reason I had to clear this one was so that I can let go of my fear of claustrophobia. I could not handle closed spaces. Even elevators would drive me crazy. Now, let's go to part 2 of this story. Look at the wheel in this image. Look at the center, the core of the wheel. This is our soul. Now look at the outer rim of the wheel, the outside. This is time. This is why we always hear or read, time is not linear, it is circular. And all time exists at the same time. Now look at the spikes or spokes of the wheel. These are our lives. The soul puts a life or incarnates or expresses itself in many times at the same time. It says, I will put one here because whatever is going on at this time is what I would like to experience. I will put one there and wherever it wants to experience something. So this is why we say all lifetimes exist at the same time. There really is no past life or future life. We are also influenced by future lives. Like for instance, when we get an idea to solve a problem, this is being influenced from a future life. Just like we are influenced from past life experiences, we are also influenced from future lives. But because we believe but because we believe time is linear, this is why we can only focus on past lives. But again, we are also influenced from the future. Now, I don't know how it is we can time travel and connect with other lives and heal them. I'm assuming we go back to the center of the wheel, back to the soul, and then through the soul go to the other life and heal it. I'm assuming that is how it is done, but I cannot be 100% certain. I have also seen images, because some clients had asked questions about time, where they showed us, the client's soul showed us the outer rim again of the wheel, that it expands. Depending on what you add to it, it simply expands to accommodate the new decision you have made. And you have created more time. I don't know if this helps in anything. So yes, this was the easiest way I could understand time, and I could understand how all time exists at the same time, and how the soul has so many lifetimes in different timelines. But this is all I know so far, and I'm going to leave it at this.